Welcome back to the Crypto Millionaires Club. Today we have an important topic, and I got to tell you guys right now that before we get into this, that I support PulseChain, I support HEX, I support PulseX 100%, okay? So don't make it sound like I'm out here spreading FUD. I want to go and take a look at what these people's opinion is, especially whenever it comes to the launch, which obviously we have been waiting for so long, right? It's kind of crazy, in my own personal opinion, that we're waiting so long for a fork, but there's just a delay after delay after delay after delay. So whenever it comes to PulseChain and whenever it comes to PulseX, today we're going to be talking about why some people actually believe it is a scam. Obviously, there's a lot of cryptocurrencies out there that people are worried about, right? A lot of people are like, oh, this is a scam, that's a scam, whatever the case may be. Well, I don't think it's a scam. So today we're going to be talking about this really quick, and then we're going to be talking about our overall opinion. All right. So if you guys will, be sure that you smash up that like button. Most importantly, smash up that subscribe button, especially if you guys are looking to help out our channel. Just smash it up. That is all it takes. All right. So diving right into it, why some believe that Pulse is a scam. Well, the biggest criticism of Pulse and PulseX is that they are directly connected to HEX, obviously. Well, people state that HEX is a controversial token that has performed well in terms of price, but with questionable fundamentals. According to Richard Hart, HEX aims to be the blockchain's native certificate of deposit. So actual certificates of deposits exist because financial institutions use such deposits to gain returns throughout the market. They can do this because the currency you deposit, also known as e.g. USD, has salability and with a value which can be employed, which banks do after leveraging it. So in other words, certificates of deposits work because a bank uses the purchaser's money to create value. That's what they do. So for example, every time you go to the bank, you say you deposit $100, well, your bank account will always say you have $100. However, that bank is taking that money and most likely lending it out to other people, whether that be for a loan, whether that be for a mortgage, whether that be to pay people back with CD interest. Regardless, what they're doing is they're making money off of your money. That's what they're doing, okay? So it states right here, in other words, whenever it comes to certificates of deposit, because the bank uses the purchaser's money to create value, namely in the form of loans, the money does not generate value by simply sitting in an account. And the currency soundness precedes the fact that it can be deposited to earn interest. So in other words, the locking in mechanism is necessary but not sufficient condition for CDs and the traditional sense to work. So currently, the high APY that crypto staking earns comes from tokens facilitating currency swaps on exchanges. As a service with very high demand as it stands, HEX facilitates no surface, does not generate value via loans, nor has a widespread adoption as a digital currency. Well, I'm going to have to disagree with the last part, because it is definitely working on adoption, considering the fact that it is very high on CoinMarketCap. So where does the high annual APY come from? The high returns are maintained entirely by the purchase of new HEX that is not staked, which is known as a classic Ponzi scheme. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, please keep in mind that I do not agree with anything that they're saying. I believe that PulseChain, PulseX, and HEX are all real and all legit. So furthermore, scams and Ponzi schemes in the traditional financial market are often cloaked as certificates of deposit as well. CDs that significantly outperform the market tend to attract the attention of regulators, and so-called digital certificates of deposits, especially those that claim to provide too good to be true returns, should be scrutinized heavily. So the conglomerates is that HEX smart contract, it is built on to incentivize price stability. The reality is that Bitcoin is only as good as it is perceived value, and as indeed with worth very little until it has received widespread adoption as a risky but profitable investment asset. In other words, the desire to get rich pumped Bitcoin, and arguments about the soundness of the fundamentals followed. Eventually, Bitcoin might become a widespread currency, but it will have started a highly speculative asset that was also frequently called a scam. So HEX, what does it do? Well, it claims to take the functionality of Bitcoin, but uses proof of stake and adds a staking mechanism that increases the returns of those who complete their term. So in negative proportion to those who do not, instead of paying newly minted currency, also known as inflation, the miners with Bitcoin, HEX pays inflation to stakers who provide stability. Ideally, the potential for easy profits will fuel mass adoption, after which an efficient ecosystem can be built upon its fundamentals. So PulseChain and PulseX are supposed to be the initial steps of that ecosystem. Now, as I stated, you guys, I don't agree with anything here. I understand what they're saying, but cryptocurrency obviously is a total different ball game here. But whenever it comes to PulseChain and whenever it comes to PulseX, they are so different than HEX. They are very different. Like, they have a complete different standard and ecosystem and everything that they are providing. Like, PulseChain is creating its very own blockchain. That's what it's doing. We've seen other ones. We've seen a lot of other cryptos do this, right? And we're not calling those scams at all, right? We don't say that at all. And then we have many different type of dexes. So, for example, for PulseX, right, there's many different type of dexes. So I disagree with everything that they are saying here. I do not believe that PulseChain or PulseX is a scam. I don't believe HEX is either. Now, the sacrifice phase, obviously that is something very, very different compared to traditional ICOs, IDOs, or IEOs. But in this case, you know, I have to state that I believe that the intentions here, whenever it comes to PulseChain and whenever it comes to PulseX and whenever it comes to HEX, are 100% good, and that they are 100% valid. So if you guys will, leave some comments down below and tell us what you think. Other than that, if you guys will, be sure that you smash up that like button, smash up that subscribe button, because as stated, we are covering HEX, PulseX, PulseChain every single day. You guys have a wonderful day. We will see you later in our next videos, and ciao.